watching Rogers TV.
Rogers TV Durham would like to acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation of the Mississauga Nation. May we respectfully honor the knowledge and understanding of the Indigenous stewards of these ancestral lands and ensure that the voices of the First Peoples are represented in our collections, programs, and services.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers Cable or Rogers TV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk Politics. My guest this week is Oshawa Mayor Dan Carter. As always, I'm so looking forward to speaking with you. We always have such a great conversation and so much to talk about.
If I was smart, Deb, I'd just leave it there and say goodnight. Thank you very much, and that's it, right? So it's great to be able to see you, Deb. I hope you're doing well, and the team down at Rogers is doing well. And finally, I think spring is here. I'm not sure, but I'm learning how to swim and build a boat because there's so much rain, so I've had enough. So, but it's good to see.
Okay, so lots to talk about. Let's talk about money, economy, jobs. The TD economic forecast that was recently released in regards to Oshawa and its local economy spoke of record-breaking growth, noting that Oshawa has tracked 1 billion, not million, billion in commercial, industrial, and institutional development over the past 5 years. Wow, Dan Carter, wow.
That's great news for us because we've always had a philosophy that we want people to live here and work here, be educated here, and also have their recreational time here. So it's really important if we're going to have a complete community that people are actually being able to work here. And that's an indication that more and more companies are relocating into this area or are building here in our community. The Northwood Business Park is doing tremendous, and we're seeing companies like Martin Brower, Lactalis is now here, CRCS, DKY has built a brand new building. We also have Panettone and Broccolini that is continuing to build and welcome other companies into the area. So we're really excited about that. We've also seen a huge expansion both in our post-secondary educational community, our healthcare community, and also at the same time, you're seeing the automotive industry continuing to grow. So we're pretty excited about what the economic indicators are. Just recently, Durham Workforce brought out their numbers in regards to unemployment. Our unemployment numbers are really, really good. Our participation numbers are better than Ontario's, and we're seeing more people in there. And at the same time, Deb, our population is growing. And Oshawa is going to see about a 3% increase in our population as we move forward. So a desired place to be able to invest, a desired place to live, and a desired place to be able to call home. So I'm really, really pleased about it because all three of those components have to work in conjunction for it to be a complete community. So yeah, great, great news from the TD Economic Breakfast.
What's the attraction? What is attracting businesses here?
I think there's a couple things, what I've heard from companies that I've met with, and one is the pipeline to talent. Having post-secondary education and those that are available to be able to move right into a position are really, really important. I can speak of our conversations with Martin Brower. One of the reasons why they found it so attractive is because Trent University has a logistics program. That's a big part of their business. As you know, they're the largest restaurant distributor, I think, in the world. And they need people that know logistics. And I think our post-secondary education is playing a significant role in making sure that people are job ready. And I think that that makes it wonderful. I think that's number one. Number two is I think that the decisions this council have made in regards to development charges for industrial and commercial has played a significant role in regards to attracting those to be able to invest here. Those kind of benefits really make a project work. I think the other aspect of it is that companies just don't move here just to set up businesses. They've heard from their employees about if they're going to move, what are the kind of components that they need. And I'm reminded of the 155 parks, our post-secondary education, our world-class cancer center, all of the attributes the city of Oshawa has. And I think more and more companies are looking at it and saying, this is good for our employees. And by the way, we're still in an affordable community and a safe community. So I think all of those kind of things add up. But if you look at it, if you're looking at a competitive edge for companies and corporations, it really comes down to having a pipeline of talent that is available for them, and it makes them more competitive. That's the one component companies look for. If we have great people that are well-educated, talented, and committed to our organizations, we can have that competitive edge that other companies don't have. And I think that that's what's really playing a significant role in regards to those that are relocating into our city.
Yeah, there are some cities that really build themselves as their advantage was low taxes. Does that play into it at all with you?
You know what? I think the reality being is everybody is realistic. If we want world-class services, we want great amenities. If we want efficient services, there's a cost to those things. And I think what I've tried to do, and I'm a fiscal conservative, and now with the strong mayor's powers, I'm very much in control of the budget process here at the city. I'm proud that even through the most inflationary times, our last budget came in at 3.89% here at the city. I'm really proud of our team and how we've been able to allocate and make sure those investments happen. I think the reality being is if we want world-class cities, we've got to be willing to be able to invest in our cities. And that means communicating with the public about what that looks like and what it's going to cost. And I think it's managing expectations. I think Canadians understand that if we're going to have great services, that there is a cost to it. Where I think the debate happens is fair taxation. And I think that that's for a bigger conversation, not only locally, but also provincially and federally, where we really have to look at it and say to ourselves, is fair taxation actually happening in this community and in this country? And if it's not, how are we going to address it to be able to make sure that we're able to kind of make sure that we're not losing a huge talent base? I saw an article just recently, a gentleman said, why did you move to Texas? He said, well, I was an executive in Toronto paying 52% tax, and I'm in Texas paying 15%. Yeah. I think the reality being is Canadians understand they want a great system and they want great services. And we have, some really great services that Canadians are able to receive in our country. But I think at the same time, we need to have a conversation about fair taxation and is it working properly? And I think that that's where taxpayers get frustrated. If it's not fair and they feel that there's a heavy burden either on the low end or the top end or in the middle, then I think people feel that value for service isn't there. So we have to continue to manage expectations, be open and transparent, and make sure that we explain why certain elements of our tax system is asking for more of residents and justify it accordingly. But I am a fiscal conservative, always have been and always will be.
Yeah, so your local taxes, the tax increase this year for 2024 was under 4%. It was, what did you say,
3.89%. And then the regional budget was a lot more challenging because of Bill 23 and some of the other bills. I think it came in at 7.5%.
Yeah, ouch.
It is, but you have to look at it. If we're expanding our population and our geographic area, what does that mean in regards to social services, healthcare? What does that mean in regards to roads and operations? What does it mean to policing, the EMS, paramedics? These are the kind of things that, we need to do a better job of being able to say, this is the reason why these costs are escalating. If we want, people are always saying we want safe communities. Well, if we want safe communities, we have to have proper investments in safe community initiatives, such as policing. If we're looking at making sure that we protect green space and that we want more green space, well, what does that look like and what is the cost to it? I think the region, all of us are having a conversation about, the escalating cost and inflationary aspects of what it takes to do water and sewer nowadays. And, where is it going to stop? And I think all of us are concerned about those major big capital projects and how they've escalated so dramatically that we have to kind of place and phase projects in We've done that at the city. We're going to have to do it at the region. But I think this is where the taxpayers are really feeling fatigued there. And I think that we have to be very sensitive and we have to advocate accordingly. But I'm not willing to be able to put safety aside and say, well, we're gonna have low taxes, but we're not gonna have the proper supports in regards to safe communities. That's not a trade-off I'm willing to make.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many examples of when safety was kind of set aside and
you can't.
And,
You want bridges inspected. You want roads inspected. You want to make sure playgrounds are properly up to today's standards. You want to make sure that you have open and transparency when it comes to safety in our community. You want to make sure that we have the right resources in regards to our police. We want to make sure that our paramedics are properly equipped to be able to meet the challenges of an aging population, a growing population in a large geographic area. We want to make sure that we have strategic investments in regards to the most vulnerable in our community, both those that are fleeing from domestic violence, or those from human trafficking, to those that are unhoused, or those that are the most vulnerable in our community. So all of these investments are important in regards to overall safety in our community, but we have to explain that. And, we have to make sure that people understand what the cost associated with that is, but understand how we got to that cost analysis and make sure that we do a good job explaining it. That's why a lot of times you can't just put graphs. You actually have to have conversations like this, Deb, that explains the process and about what are we doing to be able to provide these services, why are costs escalating, what does it have to do in regards to legislative changes, both at the provincial and federal side, that adds cost, and what are the requirements in regards to delivering those services? We got to do a better job at explaining that.
we only have about a minute and a half left in this segment, but I just want to ask you about the local budget and the tax increase. What was the biggest pressure on you there, and what accounted for the need to raise taxes?
I think there's a couple of things. I think one is inflationary in regards to actual supplies, delivery of supplies or capital. That was a shock to us in regards to the inflationary. When it came to construction costs, when we were looking at equipment costs and how they escalated around the world, those kind of things played a significant role in regards to that. There was some impact from Bill 23 that we had to also put in place to make sure that we did that. I'm very pleased that our debt load at the city is very low now. That's taken many years for us to be able to get to that place. And I think hats off to our finance department and our chair of finance, and of course our council and all of our staff. So I'm really pleased about that. But the cost of doing business has really escalated tremendously. You know, you look at Rotary Park, I think originally we had it scheduled for about $11 to $12 million. It's $20 million now. That's cost escalations in regards to what's happening about labor, supplies, and construction costs. They were just rampant. And so we've had to phase that project, and we're phasing other projects just because of affordability. So those kind of pressures are continuing. I'm hoping that construction costs start to drop down and inflationary indicators start to drop down. We're seeing some of that, but I still kind of are cautious in regards to it. And we're taking that into consideration as I'm developing the 2025 budget right now.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. We are in conversation with Oshawa Mayor Dan Carter. Stay with us, more to come after the break.
Everyone wants to know about everything Blue Jays.
Blair and Barker know what's up.
Over under an 86.5 wins. I'm going to go over.
What's the story on Blue Jays Central?
Jamie, this Blue Jays lineup has a chance to win a ball game. Should be a good finish.
Joe, it's going to get exciting. Let's get you back to the ballpark.
That ball's driven to deep left field. Gone! And the Blue Jays win it!
Only one network has everything.
Sportsnet, home of the Blue Jays.
Hi there, I'm Eric Marchand, host of Cinema Scene in Review. Join me each month as I recap all of the newest films in theaters and at home. See you in review.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Van Belson, host of Photos and Travel, where we bring the world to your doorstep. In our next episode, we'll discover the canals of Europe. Join us right here on Rogers TV.
And welcome back to Talk Politics. This week we are in conversation with Oshawa Mayor Dan Carter, talking about budgets and money. Let's talk about some good news. The amount of development, we briefly touched on that, but there's real changes going on in the downtown that are going to transform.
It's massive.
The city center.
There's a couple things, Deb. One is our numbers coming out of our development department are seeing a huge pacing again. So that's great news, and we're seeing a lot of investment in the city. That's really good news. The downtown is a really interesting thing. You know, we estimate that it'll add about 20,000 people, new residents to our downtown. So a couple projects. We've got the post office that Adria owns, and they're looking at adding 6 stories in regards to the top of the post office. This will be a timber build, which is going to be extraordinary. Architectural magazines will be here to be able to kind of take pictures of how to protect historical buildings and build with new technologies. And that's pretty exciting. We also have, of course, right at Athol Center Street, we have Mahogany Homes that is building new condominiums right across from City Hall. And we're excited about that. And we're excited about what that will do for our downtown. Then we go over across from McLaughlin Square. We have 2 towers, 675 units that will be built there. And that's exciting to be able to see. And then if you go to the eastern side of the courthouse at the corner of Bond in Ontario, you're also seeing a new condominium project there of about 210 units that are there. At the same time, we're developing, of course, Bond and Simcoe as our new green space urban park in the downtown to be able to kind of make sure green spaces, those that are going to be living in intensification aspects of it. But you're going to see over 20,000 new residents downtown. By the way, I'm really excited about this. 70 King, which is the old Janosh on the main floor in June and starting in July. The exciting part about it is they're almost setting up like a marché, where they have between 7 and 9 restaurants that'll be inside on the main floor, outdoor patio on King Street, that'll have a whole different culinary experience. We're really excited about that, along with companies like Avantes that have been a big staple in downtown, and a lot of the other culinary places. Berry Hill plays an important role. All of these culinary experiences are playing a significant role in the downtown. So when you look at people, you look at the intensification of the services that are being delivered, you're going to have such a vibrant downtown. So we're really excited about it. And by the way, if you haven't had a chance, drive downtown, you'll see our new colored flower pots, all the beautiful flowers that are out there. The streetscape is changing dramatically, and we're really excited about all those things. This is a great time for our city, and we just got to keep the momentum going. And I'm asking everybody, let's all be ambassadors for our city. Let's talk about our city. Let's talk about the great attributes that we have, and really make sure that people understand that the great city of Oshawa is a great place. And by the way, Deb, coming up soon, of course, we've got the Peony Festival that'll be coming up. We got Cars on King that'll be coming up. I mean, we got Conversion again. We've got Frosh Week that'll be coming up. That's just to name a few things that'll be happening in the downtown core. So it's a pretty amazing place. And if you look at it, you look at the Biltmore Theater, 650 seats there. Then the Region Theater, almost 700 seats there. Then you've got the Bond Street Event Center, which is just spectacular, which is the old CAW headquarters on Bond Street on the north side of Bond. It's really a great place to be entertained and also be able to have a culinary experience. So along with our 4,000 full-time students in downtown Oshawa, it's really changing dramatically, and I can't wait to see what awaits us over the next 5 years.
With all that development concentrating downtown, is traffic a concern? How are you going to deal with all the increased traffic?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. One is we continue to invest in public transit because the Simcoe corridor is the busiest corridor for the Durham Regional Transit System and King Street, so we understand that. Number 2 is we're looking at the multi-transportation pathways and what do we need to do to expand that network. We're trying to open up our sidewalks so there's more walking, running, cycling, and strolling on those streets, so the connectability is there. But we've also reduced the speed limits in the downtown core so that people aren't flying through there at 70, 80 kilometers an hour. We've dropped it down to be able to not only look at pedestrian safety, but also about car safety in the downtown. It is continuing, especially with the amount of construction going on Simcoe Street, basically from John Street all the way down to the 401 and the new bridge at the 401 and Simcoe Street. We are in this season of a lot of infrastructure going to be happening. We've got the 401 basically from Stevenson Road all the way out to Harmony that'll be expanding, and you see that work going on. You see the Simcoe Street interchanges changing dramatically, and that'll continue. The Albert Street Bridge is coming down. The expansion of the bridges at Ritson and Wilson will be expanded, and the High will be expanded. The new interchange at Harmony Road, east of where it is now, that's happening. The infrastructure changes on Simcoe Street in regards to new water, sewer. That whole infrastructure is changing along Simcoe Street. It's a lot of construction over the next couple years, and I think it's a good thing for the city because I think we have to look at moving people efficiently. And of course, you're going to see the street near the bridge near Mill Street on Simcoe. That'll be rebuilt, and that'll start this summer, fall, because that's part of Metrolinx's GO train. And you'll see the Tim Hortons that's on Simcoe Street. That will be demolished because the train will come in and push southward to be able to go into the new station at the Nob Hill Farms. All that work will be starting this summer and fall. So that'll be another major issue. But we're preparing to be able to move people more efficiently through GO Transit, through Durham Regional Transit, through multi-transportation networks, and also making sure that our roads can be able to accept, I guess, the amount of automobile traffic. But there's a lot of uncomfortableness of our construction season going to happen over the next 5 years. But that also means our city is growing and is investing in infrastructure. And I think that's really important for us to keep in mind.
GM Canada donated the waterfront green space after selling its former headquarters. Yeah, exciting.
It is, and I have to give a lot of credit to Doug Yates, to the senior leadership team at General Motors. At the time, it was David Patterson. When General Motors made the announcement of their market changes and their commitment in the city of Oshawa, early conversations happened with myself and the city in regards to what GM was looking at as a future for General Motors, not only the assembly plant, but also the expansion of what they were going to do. And they've spent over $2 billion since that announcement in late 2018. And we continue to see that. But one of the things they really wanted to do was when the GM headquarters was sold to OPG, prior to that, they came to us and said, the Second Marsh plays an important part in regards to, this nature area, the McLaughlin Bay area, which we control and own. We'd like to make a donation to the city so that it can be all part of this natural area as part of protecting the environment. And, I'm really, really happy that we were able to receive it. I give General Motors a lot of credit for making that commitment and our city staff to be able to get through the process, to be able to transfer that land. It's going to play an important role. It should be protected. This is a sensitive area in regards to wildlife and water and habitats in this area. It's important in regards to eco information and eco training that happens. And I think it's a really important issue in regards to us protecting that piece of land as we move forward. And I give a lot of credit to General Motors for coming up with this initiative. And I'm pleased as the mayor to be able to accept that donation on behalf of the residents here in Oshawa.
And I also want to ask you, of course, we can't talk without reiterating that this is Oshawa's 100th year. This is a pretty exciting year for Oshawa. We haven't spoken since you had the big launch and the big party.
It's been great. It's the party, of course, was March 8th to mark the 100 years because we became a city March 8th in 1924. We celebrated in 2024. It was great. It was covered by Rogers, and thank you for that. It really gave people kind of an insight of our city and the great attributes, but the diversity that is happening in our city. Events continue all through this year. You're going to see a lot more activities down at the Ed Broadbent Waterfront Park and the atrium that is there, and live music and performances. I'm looking forward to seeing our human rights garden continuing to grow, the live art and the art displays that'll be happening on the waterfront. It's a really exciting time to be able to reflect back and see how our community has changed dramatically. But I'm so proud of our city. I'm so proud of the people that call Oshawa home. Sometimes we are the biggest critics of our city, and I'm trying to change that narrative to be more that we are all champions, that we're all ambassadors for this great city, and that it's important that we criticize our city and try and bring out the best in us. But let's focus on the great things that we've accomplished. And I think looking back at the last 100 years, our city has punched above its weight. It's always faced its hurdles, its hardships, its changes, and its challenges head on. We've never given up on one another. And I believe the DNA of our city really is one of the strongest in North America. And I'm really proud of our city. I'm excited about what awaits us 100 years from now. And I'm hoping that all of us understand that we play a really important role in regards to being ambassadors, selling our city, telling people about the great things that happen here and why we believe in our city so much. So I'm challenging everybody I get a chance to learn about your city, understand our history, be an ambassador for our city, and continue to believe that the best days are always in front of us.
Oshawa certainly is resilient, that's for sure. We just have a minute left, so I'm going to leave this last minute to you. What are you most proud of when you think about this city and how far it's come?
I'm always amazed at how it never gives up on itself. And I think that that's the big thing. We have any challenges that we've faced, we seem to be able to innovate, make a shift and change direction. There was a time in 2018 when I first got sworn in that General Motors made that announcement that they were ceasing production here. We never gave up on ourselves, and we never gave up that we wouldn't be part of the transportation and the automobile industry. And now we have over 3,500 people that are working on the line and over $2 billion invested. We have seen our economy change dramatically. I see us changing demographically. We're seeing a huge amount of diversity happening in our community. And I'm reminded that 145 different nations send their children to the great city of Oshawa to be educated at some of the finest institutions. And Canadians across Canada come to our cancer center to be treated by some of the greatest people that are dedicated to their skills and their abilities. I'm always amazed at our city, and I'm just really proud of our residents. It's because of the residents that we have these opportunities, and I'm so proud that I get to be a small part of that.
And Dan, on that, we are out of time. Thank you, sir, and thanks to our viewers. Until next time, I'm Debra Hutchison. Bye for now.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
As the first ever winners of the Epic Mac and Cheese competition hosted by Durham College, we're here to show you how to make the award-winning recipe. Today we decided to use ziti noodles, but you can substitute it for any other type of pasta that can hold the sauce. So in order to make the sauce, you're going to need flour, butter, milk, and a little bit of mustard, and of course the most important ingredient, a little bit of Munster cheese.
So first we're going to saute off some onions and garlic. After that we're going to add the margay sausage. At the very end, we're just going to add the green onions, roasted red pepper, and mushrooms. What makes it spicy is the cayenne pepper and the red pepper flakes.
And now we mix it all together. And lastly, dish up and enjoy, Durham.